We did it. We're live again. All right. Welcome to the Women in Business Collective, where we talk with exceptional women leaders about the challenges women face on their journey to the top. And we talk about those challenges. These are the things I've been working with women about for the last 18 years. Not a lot of coaches can say, I've been in the biz for 18 years. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe, and what I really love about this show is that I get to bring guests on the show who are just like my clients, successful women, entrepreneurs, leaders, high-level executives who can talk about their journeys, share how they got where they are today, and talk about their challenges. And we can see how inspiring they are and how hard they work to conquer and make it. So my guest today is Kim Butler. She co-founded the Dynamic Prosperity Economics movement and calls herself a reformed financial planner. She asks, what if everything you knew about money is wrong? Oh my gosh, I feel like I need to ask so many questions. She helps her clients build optimal wealth in a sustainable manner without big banks on Wall Street. And she's unconventional, she's out of the box, and she's an independent thinker, and those things describe her perfectly. Hi, Kim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Susan. Such a joy to be here.
You're my kind of woman. Out of the
box. To have fun.
Yeah, out of the box, independent thinker. Yes, that's my jam. So tell us a little bit about your story, your journey, where you are now, what you do. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, the backstory is that I was a typical financial planner and I loved my work until I didn't. And it just hit me in the heart. And I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I didn't know where to go. And so I went back to my entrepreneurial roots. I interviewed a bunch of clients. What are you doing to build wealth? What's really working?
Right.
And so over time, I developed 7 principles of prosperity. And I developed a process that we take our clients through. And we do have specific products that we use. But as you can imagine, the products aren't anything we invented. They're ancient products that have been around 200-300 years that absolutely, positively work. In fact, they might even be boring, but they're so effective. And so fast forward to today, because of the joy of the internet, I get to work with clients in all 50 states. Yeah. I live in a tiny little town in the east part of Texas. I'm on the web and the phone and the internet all day long, helping people with their personal finances. Again, using the 7 principles of prosperity. And I think just to give you a quick example, we can take somebody that lives in Philadelphia and they're maxing out their 401ks and they're prepaying their mortgages and they're saving money in a bank. And we can take just those 3 things and help them understand that the strategies that they're using are not the most efficient way to build wealth. And we can help them understand that there's products that are out there that will do a better job for them. Yeah. And then we can teach them some of the things that, frankly, are incorrect about their money and yet so common out in the marketplace.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of reading about that. I'm not even close to, I wouldn't even say I'm knowledgeable, but I have read enough to know I get what you're saying. I understand that part. I don't know what the rest of it is, but I have read that. So what are some of the challenges that you struggled with on your way to where you are today?
Absolutely. So the first part is being a woman in a completely male-dominated industry, which I grew up on a farm, so I really didn't let that stop me. But every now and then it catches my attention when I'm one of 50 people sitting in a room learning whatever it is. And yet I was really able to just blow past that by just loving all of humankind. Yeah. And so that's been an important thing is not to get overly focused on it. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing was being what I'm going to call traditional, because it's typical financial planning that is the problem. Financial planning has only been around 45 years.
Hey.
And yes, isn't that amazing? The College of Financial Planning in Denver. Yeah, the first graduate, early 70s. So, and I had that designation for a while, but when you start to preach something different, you're going to get eggs thrown at you. Thank goodness I do my work over the internet.
Yeah.
And yet being really strong in our message was a very important thing. And so being able to prove numerically the things that like you said it really well yourself. You got it, even though you may not have had my education, you may not have had me prove anything to you numerically. I find that today, now this was different in the past, and the difference is I had to pull people out of the woodwork in the past to get them to understand my thinking. But today, when I get somebody on the phone or over the web, they always react like you did. They're like, yeah, I kind of knew that the typical financial planning message that's out there by the big banks and Wall Street wasn't the only way to go. And
well,
so
they're not designed to help the investor. They're designed to help make commissions and help make money for the bank. They're not really designed that way. And
you're right.
When you work for a company and you have their 401k system, it's very appealing, I think, to put your money in there because they're going to match it. They encourage it. And so then you're stuck with whoever they've chosen. And I think that's a problem because, they don't look at the fees and the structures that are built in. That always frustrated me. Always. Yep. Sorry, now we're talking about money, but but it's such an interesting topic. You should come on twoquestions.tv also, and we'll talk about that there. So continue. What other obstacles, struggles, challenges?
Well, the then messaging aspect was a challenge. So as the internet progressed, we had to figure out, like, how do you deal with Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn? And we got some books on Amazon, and that was an awesome thing to help spread our message even broader and enable me to get clearer on the message.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, podcasting, we figured out that realm and just absolutely loved it. But as you know, as each technology comes down the road, you have to figure it out. You have to figure out, does it work for you? Because it's super important, I believe, that we work with things that work for us. So like, I love to do Facebook Live and podcasts and verbal things like that. When I do the writing aspect, I got to get help because it's much easier for me to speak than it is to write. And yet I know people learn in all three ways, right? You have to have the video, the audio, and the written material. Yeah. And so we've had to learn all those things. So it's like, I have all my financial knowledge, but I had to have my business knowledge. We had to develop systems. I had to have my marketing knowledge. We had to develop content. And so all those things are challenges, but and you know this so well, when you've got a vision that's bigger than the challenges, you just blast through it, and it enables you to persevere.
Yeah. Do you have struggle, because in the finance industry, you have so much regulation. Do you have, every time I've talked to, on one of my shows, I've talked to a financial person, they've sent me this big, long disclaimer. And I'm like, oh, do we have to read that whole thing? Really? That's your introduction? Do you have to, what kinds of things do you have to go through with that? Do you have to do a lot?
Well, the difference is most of the typical financial planners that you've had on your show, I'm using the word typical very specifically, come from something called a broker dealer. And that's why that big disclaimer. I am a traditional financial advisor. I like the word advisor better than plan, because I don't think we get to plan much in this life. Yeah. And so because I come from the traditional side, I have what's known as a registered investment advisory firm. And yes, I still have regulation. I still have environments that I have to deal with, and a few smaller of the disclaimer side. But because I work in all 50 states and I'm on the RIA side instead of the BD side, broker dealer, RIA stands for Registered Investment Advisory Firm, we have less of some of the legal aspects to deal with.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, Kim, let's get to advice. What advice do you have for professional women today?
The most important thing is to save cash. And right now in 2018, when we're talking here, there is going to be a big change. We know the stock market is ripe for a correction. We know the real estate market is ripe for a correction. People that are in a position of cash will have opportunity come to them. And so it's so important that we save our personal cash. Right now, we need to be building cash. We need to save business cash too, so that businesses can take advantage of opportunities. I just got an opportunity the other day to buy $5,000 worth of stuff for $3,000 because I had the cash and could move like that. Yeah. It was a small example, but it gives you a sense of things. So Storing cash is super critical. And of course, we have an alternative for the place to store that cash and liquidity. Most people are stuck with the banks and the money markets account, which we know are paying nothing right now, and they're taxable. And so we have an alternative for that. And so if people have questions, I'm sure on the show here, we'll get a chance to give them contact information to reach out. The second thing that people need to be doing is not locking money up. So it's kind of the corollary of cash. Like, yeah, like you said, do your 401k, but maybe only to the match level. Don't go beyond that. So for the business owners, really think about what you're doing to your employees and what you're doing to yourself when you install these qualified plan environments. Because as you said it, the qualified plan is operating from the government's rules, and we need to be very careful and stay out of those rules. And the Great Dane is joining the show.
Nice. Well, we'll just fess up and say Gus has been here the whole time. So this is a dog-friendly show. All right. And your dog is so much bigger than mine. All right. So what else?
So the other thing that people want to be aware of is making sure that they are in control of their money. And so to me, that's not a stock market environment. And a lot of people are really looking for alternatives to the stock market. And so to me, those dollars, so now we're talking investments, that's different. Cash is liquidity. Investments are typically not liquid, and they fall into two categories. One, we want them to create income, and the other, we want them to grow. And so if you break it down into those two things, so essentially we have three now, right? We have cash, we have income, and we have growth. Those are the only things that money needs to do. It doesn't need to be this overcomplicated environment. Just choose your investments to either get the money to grow or to create income.
All right. People are going to need help. Kim, where can people find you?
So partners, the number 4, prosperity.com is my company's website. We have an awesome team. They get to meet with our team when they're ready. They get to meet with me. I help everybody that I can over the phone and the web. And the awesome thing about that is we can help a lot more people because we can be really efficient.
Yeah.
And so partners, number 4, prosperity.com. There's podcasts on there. There's blogs. There's videos, because those are the 3-way people learn. And then, of course, there are books on Amazon as well.
Great. And we'll have those links in the show notes for today. Kim, I'm so glad you came on the show. Thanks for joining me.
You're so welcome, Susan. It was a joy. Thank you.
All right, ladies, that's it for today. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. This has been the Women in Business Collective show. I do these shows most weekends at usually 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you think you might be a great guest for the show, or you know a woman who would be, visit us at womeninbusinesscollective.com to learn more about how to apply. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.